Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Starbase friends around the world, Astro Joe here for RGV Aerial Photography, Starbase Weekly, episode 139. We got some great flight images from Friday afternoon. I'll pass it on over to your host, Stephanie.
G'day everybody, Stephanie here from Australia. We've got some wonderful photos this week. I'll start by introducing our guest commentators. We have Alex again this week. G'day, Alex.
Good morning. Hello. Hopefully it will be a great show. We have a lot of interesting photos.
And we have a new commentator with us today. We have Toby, who you might see as Toby Waby on the chat sometimes. Hello, Toby.
Hi, Stephanie. Thanks to you, Alex, Mauricio, and the entire RGV team for the opportunity. Coming to you today from the desert Southwest in Arizona. It's quite an honor. Appreciate it.
No worries. Good to have you on board. Let's go have a quick word from Mauricio regarding the oxygen system. Thank you, Mauricio.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank everybody for assisting us and supporting our oxygen supply funds. We were able to process the order, and the only unfortunate thing is that it takes about 6 weeks for them to fulfill the order of the oxygen. But I think we're going to just contact them and ask them to send over the tank empty. That way we can just fill it up over at our location. So that way we can avoid that 6-week delay. But other than that, that's the update. Currently on the previous flight, we used the boost oxygen systems. It's little canisters that you buy at Academy and all that. I want to say that they actually did work. That's just like a little Band-Aid on the situation. No headaches, no symptoms like we've had before. But I think it's not ideal because, I think me and Fred went through the bottle during the whole flight, and each bottle is like $20. So I don't think it's ideal to be buying bottles every single flyover. The system is definitely the most ideal system to use. But yeah, I want to thank everybody. I don't want to take up too much time here, but thank you so much for the support. We did it. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the system in the next couple of weeks after I reach out to them to change the order. But yeah, thank you so much. Back to you, Stephanie.
Okay, let's jump over to Massey's here. And we'll start at the new test tank rig. So there's a few changes this week. We'll start down the bottom of the test tank. They seem to be tearing up all the bottom of the test rig. They seem to be tearing up all the bottom part. We've got the frames that were holding the rams up, down the bottom here have all been removed. Looks like they're getting ready for a new configuration. Just while we're down here, we can see these are the parts of the 5, thanks to BJ for noting this morning, part of the 5 rams that were up on the side here. We can see they were down a level lower, and this week we can see them starting to install them up here a bit higher, so that's all getting lifted up one ring higher. So it appears the next tank that'll go in here will be higher, so we should see the can crasher cap up at this level in the next test article. And we can see, I think we mentioned last week, we can see where the torsion rams will be connected here. So that also indicates that this cap will be up at this height. So I guess we'll see, we've already see some plumbing here being extended up to the higher level.
We also have that top ring that was filled with concrete this past week.
And the
Yeah.
stairs extended all the way up as well.
Yep, so we should see they're missing over there. Last week or the week before, we saw these, they must have just had caps on them. They tricked me. I think last week I mentioned that they've been filling with concrete, but through the week we noticed some concrete pump up here, and we even saw some of the ground photos from other channels. We saw some concrete poking out. We can see a bit of concrete, bit of residual concrete stains here. Now over to the cap itself. This ring, last week we thought this ring they were putting together may be something to do with the bottom of the next test article, but it appears like it's going to be something to do with interfacing with the top of the next test article. And I'm not sure we've even seen anything to do with the test article yet, but there could be something hiding in Star Factory, but I expect to see a new test article coming out soon. I think, we can. In this photo, we can just see the ring, I think, underneath there, and the lead-ins, perhaps. I'm not sure that's what I'm seeing here. But, yeah, I think that's the actual ring there. We can see there.
It is.
I missed that on the show and tell. Let's see if I can see these mounts. Okay, so we can see where there's one missing from here. Also, they've taken a few things off down the bottom here, that a horizontal bar that was through here to test that the middle, one of the flap hinges on that test tank 16. And we can see they've taken away the actuators and so on down the bottom here where they had the hydraulics hooked up.
And strip the mounting ring from the top of the support structure.
Down here?
Yeah, there was the clamps and stuff.
Yep. I think that was gone last week, but yeah, for sure. They're definitely doing something down in here, removing all the rams. So they're maybe going to pour some concrete down here and do something with that plate down there. Now, just on that, actually, while I'm here, we have a heap of new actuators arrived down here, which could have something to do with all that, some shorter actuators. So I think we're going to get some thrust puck testing action going on very soon, or in the next test article anyway. We'll get to that in a minute. So last week we noticed they extended the rods. So yeah, it's all going ahead to get this all swapped over to the new test article, whatever that's going to be. We assume it's going to be part of the booster block 2, I would imagine. So over here, yeah, we should see, yeah, they're missing the platforms that were here last week. So those platforms are now installed up here. Actually, there's 2. Maybe they put 2 new ones on, did they?
Yeah, there's a landing mid-height.
Oh, there is 2 in the middle there, yep. Zoom in for you guys. Yeah, there's one there as well. So there's the 2 platforms. Now, we did have a question. Let's see if I can... No, I can't find it. There was a mystery pipe, but it's fine. It was on last week's, I think.
Yeah, I think we were discussing that in show and tell, and I went back, and I think that pipe was there a couple weeks ago, but where it goes, we're not quite sure, just based upon our current photography.
Thank you, Toby. Awesome. Okay, I think that's about all for this test tank. So just a bit of reconfiguration, top and bottom. And I think that's all at this old can crusher area. It's funny they haven't completely disassembled this yet. So we can see the older rams. We can see, oh, there's 3 more of the rams. The 5 rams for the sides, I guess, are over here somewhere too. Sorry, there is something else. So here, I'll just get a better photo. They've put rams back in this little rig here. There's 2 here. So I'm figuring that's something to do with the bottom of this as well, is it? What do you think, Alex?
They were previous using it to simulate the center engines on a booster, so perhaps they're reconfiguring it for the V2 thrust pucks.
So this doesn't indicate anything to do with the 30, the new version 35 engines, does it?
It's too early to tell.
Because they've still got just the 3 in the center here. So if they're testing 5 in the center, we should see a different little test rig, I would imagine.
Correct, but they might do a validation test with their old configuration first.
Yep. So version 2 may have 33. Version 3, we might have to wait for version 3 booster before we see the 35 engines that I think was mentioned. It was mentioned in some of the stuff from SpaceX, I'm sure.
The 35 was in the PAE for the increased cadence, as well as the Florida PAs as well.
And that's the one that says they'll get up to 10,000 tons thrust, is that right?
That was actual SpaceX, but they...
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so Ship 33 came along and did some testing, did 3 tests. Was it a partial fill and then 2 full cryogenic fills? I don't think we've seen a ship fully filled for a while. I think I read in some of the chats.
I think the first fills are conditioning the stainless steel to relax it from assembly. And then the third one was the actual pressure test.
One interesting thing about those tests were the frost line being significantly higher than with the Block 1 ships. First time we've been able to see that as well. So definitely more capacity there for fuel. And that would make sense considering they want to get into an orbital insertion.
The kit tells us it has a shorter I mean, the tiles don't go as far up, or is it just looks that way because of the new positioning of the flaps?
Yeah, there's not as many tiles. That's the thing we've noticed with ships is they've taken away a few rows of tiles along this edge. I guess that's what you're talking about, Alex.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, you can see it here from where the socket is. There's only 2 tiles here. Well, there used to be 5 across here.
It appears that they're doing the same thing with Ship 31 right now as well. So they obviously found some positive data around temperatures and tolerance to the temperature for the insertion that allows them to be able to remove those and reduce weight.
Yeah, the aluminium test tiles seem to hold up, at least from the camera footage on the test flight.
Okay, so yes, so that'll at least reduce some weight, and I think 34 may even have another row again removed. But we have noticed on some ground photos where the tiles were, you can see the marks and also where the pins used to be. And there's this line down here on an angle here is nicely finished off right down to the last row. So yeah, definitely something going on there with the tiles. So a quick look down here. We usually see some plumbing and that down here. It seems to be a little bit missing here from last week, or they've moved it around. So now 33 later this day, went back to the build site, and it's now in the left rear stand of Mega Bay 2. Quickly over to our little tower here. Oh, we've got a little bit of cloud here. We can see it's a light. I think there's another photo here. We can see it's going to have lights on it at least, and perhaps it's going to have some of the communications, or maybe not the weather station. But I imagine it was something to do with new communications. It may just be simply a light.
That's
For lighting.
that's a weather. Now, is that weather station on the tower? Yeah. Okay. Never mind. From that other angle, that looked like it was.
Yeah, we've got a weather station on top here. So maybe this one isn't for communication at all, actually. Now look at it properly. Maybe just a weather station. But anyway, some more lighting. So I thought maybe to replace this one, but if that lighting may be more for over towards that area over that way to light up this area.
Well, at the build site, they're measuring temperature, weather, and the tall tower that just put in.
Okay, moving on to the launch. To the launch site, the static fire area. We can just see some of the flame bucket through here this week, and some of the plumbing, I think, which is good to see. We've got the static fire stand here. They've lifted the platform up underneath. You can see still got some holes here for access. So they'll put probably those scissor lifts underneath to get up into here. We can see they put chain boxes on to catch the chain, so don't drag along the ground. You know what your chain's dragging on the ground, do you? So this platform will replace that messy-looking scaffold they used to put up under here. So that's a good thing for them, a bad thing for us because more than likely it'll get rolled. The next ship 33, will get rolled out with that platform in place, I would imagine, and we won't get to have a look up underneath to see the engines as it rolls past the cameras down there at the build site. So hopefully, though, they may transport it without that platform, but I can't see that happening. It would make it lighter, wouldn't it, if they didn't have that platform there? So maybe we all should have convinced SpaceX to not have that platform, please.
Well, let's hope they make a convenient stand for it, so they won't transport it every day.
Just before we leave this, I just want people to get this ramp here in their mind when we look at the build sites. There's still a lot of talk going backwards and forwards where there's going to be a ramp at the build site. So this gives us a bit of an idea of the possibility of a ramp. Just the only reason I mention this is this gives us a bit of an idea of the angle that the SPMTs can operate on with a vehicle on top of a stand. So obviously the ship would have to be still very much vertical while the SPMTs are running up this ramp. So it gives us some idea of the actual amount of angle they can actually handle. We'll cover that a bit later on.
Really good point. I think we were talking that the SPMTs can handle up to a 10% grade, and that's probably slightly below a 10% right there.
It's dependent on the length if the payload has to be held horizontal.
Of course, the longer the SPMT chain, the less grade it can handle because of how geometry works.
It's only 600 millimeters of travel.
So we'll leave that for now until later on. Now, just quickly here, there doesn't seem to be much of a change here at the what do we call this? This Macy's scrapyard. Well, not much is getting scrapped, to be honest. Once again, it's not a bad view inside of. I was going to say we had a comment in the chat. It's a good view of the inside of the inside for the plumbing. It gives us a view of some of the plumbing,
or what's left of
it. Yeah, but it is interesting. I must admit, I'm not making fun of the comment. To be honest, it is interesting. It does show sort of the destruction that can happen. Now, sort of back when we first saw this landing, I thought the flame coming out the side might have had something to do with the explosion, but as we learned from flight 5, that flame was just a bit of methane getting dumped. Just quickly over to the storage lot. I'll just have a quick look here at the development site. Nothing's going on at that development site at all, so it's definitely on hold still. And over at the storage lot along Highway 4, we'll see later on Sanchez, or very soon we'll see at Sanchez, the turntable that was sitting there near the scrapyard forever is not there anymore because it's over here.
And it looks like more of the extra crane parts as well.
For the Marvin, maybe to get a bit more extra reach?
Well, they've been clearing out. We'll get to it later.
Oh, of course, yep. All right, now, Joe, can we have some donations and questions, please?
Indeed, I want to thank Callistia Lee and Methane Man both for gifting 5 memberships. I do not have any questions to address currently in my queue, but I do want to say happy birthday to Gwen Ever in chat.
Oh, happy birthday, and top of the day to you.
Happy birthday, Gwen.
Happy birthday.
What? No questions? Come on, there must be some questions. Anyway, let's go on to Sanchez. Feel free to continue asking questions, and we'll see whether we can answer them or not. Okay, moving on to the OLM construction area. We can see exciting developments this week with 2 of the corner pieces in place. And thanks to the ground cameras and Alaska Space, there's actually a third. I think it's that one. This one over here has been lifted up as well. So there's a third corner piece put in as well now. Interesting. We can see them using those. Finally, we can see them using those stands to help hold up these, because they do look like they'd perhaps fall over if they didn't have stands up underneath them.
The third one is probably the lower one, since it has a stand in place.
Yep. Oh, that's a good point. Yep, this one. Yep. This was actually lifted up later this day. I think we were watching it on the La Pedro's cameras there for a bit.
Correct. And they've been holding that one up for a couple days now.
Yeah, it's a thing about cranes and Starbase. The cranes tend to have a bit of an issue letting go, don't they? How's it go? Let it go, let it go. Now, just while we're here. Sorry
Okay,
about
Elsa.
that. Over here we have more of these, we think, flame bucket holder runnerers. That's a technical term, by the way. So we're still only speculating that, but I guess that's what's going to happen.
They're about the right size. And they're quite a bit larger than the Massey's ones.
And just to recap here, thanks to Chrome Kiwi, this is a really rough mock-up he did. He's probably a bit embarrassed about this, but it's a good mock-up. This is simply a cut and paste from the Massey's flame trench, so this is just, he's just copied and pasted these two and put them back to back, so it's not actually what will happen for sure at the flame trench at Pad West of the launch site, but it just to indicate, just to sort of show how these pieces fitted in at the Massey's flame trench and how they held the bucket down the bottom here. And so thank you, Kareem Kiwi, for that little visualization. Not a bad little view of the actual OLM as well. So we had a question in show and tell regarding the pancakes. It's been a couple of weeks since they've mentioned the pancake. So just to refresh your memory, there's the bottom layer we've seen already, and we've seen these three corner pieces now put in, and then there's the pancake on top, which is water cooled. And I'm guessing still, and we haven't seen anything yet, whether they're going to allow the water just to flow out these holes to create a waterfall, which that would work, wouldn't it, Alex?
Yeah, they're probably going to weld on a side plate and have nozzles, so they could pressurize the top to have it do the shower head gag.
I can see. Oh, go on.
Yeah, and probably down-facing sprinkler or nozzles to give a curtain to protect the sides of the OLM.
That also reduces the shock waves.
Yeah, that would absorb a lot of the acoustic energy in here.
Depending on the geometry, they could also hit the outer thrust columns and just start dissipating the energy much sooner.
Yep. And should there be two flame buckets down the bottom, they could very much water cool the what do you call it, the wedge at the top.
Yeah, it probably won't be a wedge. It'll be more of a blunted round shape.
I had a thought. It didn't really hurt. I had a thought. Perhaps just on takeoff, they could. I thought the 20 engines, would there be a joint, like would an engine be either side of the spike on the 20 engines on the ring, and maybe they could even just spec to the other engines just a fraction on takeoff, so it didn't directly hit that divider as well. I'm not sure if that's a thing they could do.
Depending on how they place it, you'd only have one of the plumes directly over the ridge, but they will expand a bit, so they won't have the full brunt, but they'd have some of it across the ridge.
Yeah. So this is the pancake here with, I think, one of the pieces, a new piece arrived, and otherwise they've been sitting there for a while.
Yeah, they have a quarter of it there.
A nice side-on shot here. I'll go back around. So this corner here has a hatch here. We see on the side here. Hang on, hang on. Go around the other side. 1 second. Let's find the photo. There's a photo that shows. Yeah, this one here. There's a hatch on that side, which is going to be level here, and there's a hatch on this face as well, there and there. And on this other corner, hang on. On this corner, there's a hatch. On this piece here, there's a hatch on that side as well. So there seems to be something going along this edge. So we're suspecting this edge is the edge that's further away from the tower, and perhaps have something to do with hooking up commodities, whether it be water or gases or fluids or whatever. More than likely water, at least.
Yeah, that should be the southern side. Because there's piles on that side to support a structure when we get to the launch site.
So there's the other hatch on the other side of this piece. So that one will rotate 180 degrees basically and have the hatch over on the crane side here.
The sheer size of those pieces are amazing. I saw them coming in, a couple of them coming down Highway 4 when we were there for IFT5, and it was amazing how tall they are, and that's just one level of this larger platform. It's going to be huge.
The stands that are supporting are about 13 feet tall. The tall skinny ones in the corners underneath that's about 13 feet tall. So the middle section's I think 7.5 feet that are tall, and those are around 15, the upper level.
We might need some metric conversion for our European audience there.
I think there are still a couple pieces missing, though, right, that we need to see coming in.
There's the two center pieces are currently missing.
This must be so precise. You imagine these pieces you're saying are so big, yet here they can put those two corner pieces in completely knowing that they'll be able to slot these pieces in between completely accurately. Pretty amazing engineering, really. Okay, so over here, not much work going on the third booster transport stand 3. I suspect we'll see some new slides arrive with the stainless steel material before we see much more work going with that. I imagine the first booster transport stand would already have these slides, like I've said each week, I think now, but that hasn't happened yet. These stands here, they've added the rest of the mid-level platforms, and they seem to have consolidated all these parts for a new one of these jigs for the factory from over near the inventory tent. It's all nice and clean over that inventory tent area. They were sitting over here for a while, so they've been moved over yonder. Here, interestingly, these platforms, I might even jump over there quickly. These platforms we saw, they're fully completed now over near Mega Bay 2. They seem to have multiplied somehow behind their back because there's quite a lot more of them than we've seen actually built here. We've only seen 2 here. Now there's a number of them, which are over here. I'll have a better shot when we get to the build site. And we'll talk about them more at the build site. But yeah, they seem to have, how they say, like a gremlin. They've got some rain on them or whatever, and they've multiplied. Okay, so that's mostly that area. I can see lots of equipment staged to be ready for the new launch site.
There was some road construction going on along Highway 4 there, right along the parking area that was completed this past week as well. You can see the new concrete where your cursor is.
Yep, not sure exactly what was going on in front there. There seems to be quite a lot of services underneath that bit of land along there between plumbing and electrical.
It was to absorb water, percolating zone.
Go on.
No, it was just like a gravel dry well so when it rains, so the water will get absorbed into the ground.
Always something to do with drainage around this facility.
It's a swamp.
Okay, under the carriage here, they've changed the covering from that side to this side, I think. Not a lot of visible change. I guess there's a heap of work going, obviously a lot of work going on. Not sure I've actually seen anything visual of anything going on. These were sanded back to be shiny or painted white. They seem to be back black again now, so I'm not sure what's going on there. And onto the chopsticks. We can see they're adding, compared to the last chopsticks, they're adding more bracing on areas they hadn't done on Pad A's chopsticks down the bottom here and up here, which is interesting. And they still have many more to add. So I'm not sure if they actually fitted some in here yet. It kind of looks like they have, does it? Nope.
They didn't reinforce the truss on the current chopsticks. I don't think.
These areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they didn't. No, or not that we saw anyway. And we saw it pretty well. And the same on the other one over here, the top and bottom, at least this joint anyway. Doesn't seem to be doing those joins, but this joint and these joins. So maybe they had a bit more data from the last Flight 5's catch, or some engineers come up with a, hey, why don't we do this while we're at it kind of moment.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. I think with the shortened length of these new chopsticks, they have some weight tolerances to be able to add some additional some additional structure where they were seeing the flexing. So it gives them a little bit more opportunity to do that, whereas they might have been under some weight limits with what they could tolerate with the longer chopsticks on Tower 1.
The booster seemed to land nice and gently on the last flight, so wasn't too much wasn't too much inertia shock to them. So I'm not sure whether we've noticed sensors, those stress sensors they put all over test articles, or they just get data from how much they actually move, perhaps from a laser point or something from the ends. I guess they've worked out how much flex they get out of those arms. Okay, moving on to the SQD arm. Looks like they've taken the crane off the hinge, so the hinge area looks all completed. They seem to have some rusty steel, some different colour steel in here, so maybe some of the parts that we saw over here weren't quite right, or they need to add some different steel in there. So that's all looking nice.
And the scaffolding is gone.
And the scaffolding's gone.
So ship it. Paint it and ship it.
Yeah, get it on down there. Now, just before the show, you were telling me that we're going to look at these two pipes here later on when we get to the launch site. So just
Right.
keep that in mind.
One of them is larger than the other.
One of these pipes is not like the other one. So we'll just keep that in mind when we get to the launch site. We have a little bit to discuss about that down there. Just move over to this angle here for this GSC stuff. You like my Sesame Street reference there, do you?
It's quite nice.
So we have some plumbing here staged. Looks like they've done some added elbows. We've got elbows all here and pipes all over the place. And looks like they're constructing stuff here and staging it there, ready to transport. We can see a lot more of it down here, all getting constructed and staged. Excuse me, ready for transport. So these are likely to be the auxiliary commodities that are going up the tower that we see coming down through that on the build side of the tower. There's like half a dozen different pipes running down that side.
The gases, the oxygen, methane, nitrogen, helium. I believe that's it.
kind of like starting to read off the table of periodic table of elements there. So yeah, that's going ahead. So we should, as we see at the build site too, things are definitely going ahead of the build site. So this will all be ready to drop in as soon as the all the ground stuff is ready up there with all the culverts and so on. So yeah, as I mentioned before, this area seems to be cleaned up a little bit. Still no racks. They've just got those areas marked out for the logistics crew. I think one of the members noted some of these ladders are missing. It's the stuff going into the factory, I imagine. We do know it's not going.
It's looking more like they're storing the ground, not really ship parts anymore, vehicle parts anymore out here.
Yeah, that's correct. I had many vehicle parts there before, which were more than likely all version 1 parts anyway, so that's out the window at least.
Or
We do.
has that inventory portion been moved into the factory?
Perhaps, yeah. Would make more sense. And considering the size of the factory, it's not really, wouldn't take up much area, really. We had a little moment we thought, we're going to see something in the back of this truck. No, it's just pallets. We do notice on these racks various different rolls of steel, and even looks like pipe. Some of this is some pipes. So that's stuff I guess they're using. So still doing some kind of fabrication in this building, perhaps.
Wasn't that Ship 36?
Oh, yeah. The new slim design.
Well, early in its development.
Of course, yep, the eggs, of course, yep. Now we'll go over onto we'll get one that's not cloudy. So they're a bit lucky this week with the weather. They're having to thread their way through clouds to get us these images this week. So I'm just trying to find that photo. 1 second.
That's a beautiful shot there with the reflection. Booster 12.
These, yeah, we get some nice reflections on the water sometimes for sure. Okay, onto the scrapyard area, which we're going to call crane yard area perhaps now. The new crane yard area.
They moved more of the storage containers last night.
From the old crane yard.
Correct.
Yep. I'll just quickly visit that area. So that storage area on Highway 4, some crane parts that were in this area, I think you were alluding to before, Alex, have moved over to that storage area.
Yeah, the turntables that you pointed out.
I mean, the crane parts, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And some more of these containers were moved?
I think so. It was more of the SP&T power units and some pipe stands. Just, they're cleaning up that entire area.
Nice. So that's sort of the payload Starlink integration area. So this PES dispenser load is still sitting here, hasn't changed from last week. And the Starlinks, these would be version 2 Starlinks that would be way out of date by now. So now they're up to, they'll be launching version 3 Starlinks out of Starship. They've got the version 2.5 mini now on Falcon 9 launches. So it'll be exciting to see some of these launched in the very near future.
Yeah, there's still debate whether or not they'll try to do that with Flight 6 here, but I more than likely probably Block 2 with Flight 7 is my my suspicion.
So with Flight 6, it would not be enough velocity to allow these satellites to lift themselves up into orbit. I would imagine they would just re-enter, but that would still give them some test data as far as actually releasing the satellites out of the ship. I'd have to do some more maths on that to work out exactly whether they have enough delta V in the
It,
actual satellites to get them from Flight 6 sort of profile velocity up to their axial orbit.
it would be like the second stage that does a circle burn. So atmospheric drag would pull them down faster than their ion thrusters could raise their orbit.
Yeah, that's what my rough calculations in my head told me for sure. But still, that's not to say they wouldn't maybe do that to test the PEZ dispenser in a safe environment. But yeah, perhaps later on when they get it at least orbital, I'm pretty sure as soon as they start getting orbital, they will start to start to launch some Starlinks and that. I'm not sure they've even got their master orbit up high enough yet to do a full load of Starlinks yet as well.
The FCC they'd publish if they were going to be releasing V3s. I know they put in a few weeks ago to
And I
start.
think that was approved, if I'm not mistaken. They were approved to put it was maybe 200 or 300 satellites in lower orbit to work with the direct to cell, provide a higher bandwidth.
Yeah, I think these are going to be more of their sacrificial Starlinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, on to the parking garage. So they've been fixing, there's a big bulge and word on the street down there. Alaska Space is down. They've been sending us a couple of photos. I'll bring some up in a minute. So they've been patching. There was a big bubble here, so they're patching that up. Where's that photo? It's fine. And they've added, over here they added some more panels to this doorway, made it smaller. They've done the same on this side as well. So at least there's a driveway here. Oh, so I thought maybe there was another driveway there, but perhaps that's just a human entry door. We can see, I saw last week the white fascia there. We can see that happening here as well. The white fascia on this side. I think that's about it for the Sanchez. Any questions there, Joe?
Yeah, but I want to first thank Miss Jax, for gifting a membership, and as well as Rocket Profit with a $20 super chat for one more bottle of O2 for the next flyover. Thank you very much for that. Got a question from Chazbomb1. Have we seen any new parts for the Pad West Deluge?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing for the main bucket yet.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. Both JS at Web Productions and Methane Man with the same question. What are the wood slats used for the corner pieces of the new OLM?
Those were strictly for transport, so low power lines would get lifted over the top without catching.
Perfect. That's what I thought as well. I want to thank Jim Cabot for just gifting a membership. Zach has a question slightly off topic, but how did the oxygen tank go with the flight? I think he showed up a little late here.
Oh yeah, Mauricio expressed that the main oxygen tank that he's going to be using is being slightly delayed in the postage, so it'll be a few weeks before he gets that. In the interim, they're using a more little disposable, like an aerosol can, basically, which is a bit expensive to use in the long term. So they managed to use that on this flight, and they found they had no headaches or dizziness this time, which is awesome.
Excellent. And with that, we can move on. My cue is clear.
So just before we move on, this is a photo from our intrepid on-the-ground reporter, Alaska Space. He's down there still for a few more days. This is the third section getting put in place, the third corner getting put in place for the OLM. And it almost shows some of the scale here. It's always hard in a photo just to see how big things are. But if anyone's familiar with these cranes and how big they are, this is a sort of a good indication of the size of this thing. It's pretty big. And while we're here, this is some detail he also took for us of the side of the parking garage. They're using that expanded steel, and on the sides where they haven't put paneling, they're using this expanded steel. We've all seen this expanded steel. They have it on the ground, they have it on platforms and so on. You can even have like a mat you can wipe your boots on, and made of this stuff as well. So it's fairly well used technology, that one. A little bit of detail, you can see where they've been welded and also as well, which is pretty awesome. So that's what's going on around the outside of the parking garage. It also shows the little gap that they left behind the mural to allow for air circulation. So thank you, Alaska, for these amazing images, and we'll have some more a bit later on. That photo was taken on this very corner right here. So if anyone's visiting Starbase and everyone to get their photos on the show, be sure to send them over to the Patreon channels over in RGV or even in their general chat, and we can include them in the weekly show. Always like to include some of our very own Patreon members' photos. It adds a nice personal touch to the whole show. And with that, we'll go on to the build site. We'll start over here, just over here. Another wonderful panoramic photo here from the RGV photography team.
Wow. Beautiful.
A bit lucky with the flight. There was large thunderstorms had just passed through the area, and there's another large thunderstorm, I think, out in this direction on its way to the area. So they sort of got their flight done in between thunderstorms, and which is a concern. So Fred, the pilot this week, was keeping a close eye on what these thunderstorm systems were doing, and found a safe window of time to get up there and miss one thunderstorm and beat the other thunderstorm. As it turned out, Fred's calculations were spot on, and they had no danger at all from thunderstorms. But they did have to sort of get some photos through some clouds here and there. So once again, wonderful effort from the camera crew there, getting up there and safely back down again. Just quickly to go back over to I think this photo will do it, to the parking garage. We saw scaffolding and so on along this wall last week. And you can see here that expanded steel we saw in Alaska Space's photo. We can see it here mounted to these steel uprights here. And that covers that whole wall there, as I guess is a safety feature, because it's quite a pull down there. And with all that, they've managed to take quite a plain looking concrete block and turn it into quite a nice looking building. Okay, moving on to High Bay. So there's some interesting conversations overheard at Crowfest. One of them indicating that High Bay has about 12 months more of service before it's going to get torn down. So that's very interesting news to hear from the ground. So thank you, I think, once again, Alaska Space for conveying that little bit of info for us. And I do have his permission to talk about that. So Ship 31. From some ground photos, we can see very clearly how they haven't replaced all the tiles along this edge here. And there's actually, I think, a few, maybe even a couple of less tiles than even the version 2 ship has. But this week we can see they've retiled the rear flap. So that's a good sign. That's getting ready for Flight 6. There's still just a few tiles missing here and there, so perhaps Ship 31 isn't all that far off ready for Flight 6. Which should be good to see. So Mega Bay 2, I'm pretty sure they've saw booster. Let me get this right. Booster 14 returned and got put back on the back left, which would leave booster, or was it 13? Sorry, put back on the left. I can't remember now, but 13 and 14 should be on either end of the back. We imagine by now booster 15 would be on the centre stand now at the back, and which we're going to find out soon enough. As soon as we see some methane tank sections for booster 16 arrive here, we'll know for sure that booster 15 is up on one of the engine stands, because they'll need both turntables by then. In last week's photos, we noticed some mystery items. I'm still not sure, Chad, if you'd worked out what they were. Some flattened, I think the best, I know one of the better guesses.
Those were chine covers in front there.
These are chine covers, yeah. These are more than likely for booster 15. Which, if that's the case, that would also indicate booster 15 is on one of the engine stands, because they have that elevator system for that particular operation. Last week's those things that were flattened, I think one of the guesses was some covers for tanks, or we didn't know whether they needed covers or not. Or anyway, I don't think we ever solved that little mystery from last week.
Windsurfer backboard
Yeah.
protectors.
That's what they were. Okay, on to Mega Bay 2. This photo will do. Going back to these stands. So Mega Bay 2, I'll use the top as a floor plan. We've got Ship 33 back in the corner here, and Ship 34 getting stacked over on the turntable over there, which I think it's nearly ready for its next up, will be its downcomers. Is that right?
It should be.
So Ship 34 is coming along nicely. So a lot of talk in Patreon show and tell yesterday as to these stands, which are more than likely to be being put into Mega Bay 2 here. They're very similar to the ones we've already seen with the fold down platforms. Yeah, this photo here shows those platforms well. Let's talk whether they're movable up and down or not, but Toby, you had a thought on that, I think, did you, earlier?
Yeah, I was initially thinking it would be a great idea to have those movable and to be able to slide up and down within the bays, but just looking at how Mega Bay 2 is currently situated and set up, I don't believe that's going to be the case. There'll probably be additional ones and fixed at this point, unless we see something otherwise here in the future. They look to be just standard.
Thank you. No chat. Oh, there's some new trees down here. I didn't notice this in the show and tell. Look at that. Oh, pretty.
I think they started planting those last week. We missed.
Yeah, we do miss the odd thing here and there, that's okay. I'll come to terms with that. Okay, just while we're back here, we might go have a look over at the little drainage area work back here. We can see some large drainage plumbing pipes here, and they've been tearing up concrete and digging trenches and what have you, tying in, drainage, perhaps from the old ring yard area. They still have to tie in this bit of plumbing for the downcomers here. Downpipes. Downcomers? Downpipes. I guess they're downcomers.
Downspouts?
Oh, we call them downpipes, but yeah, they're spouts, whatever.
Downcomer.
Downcomers, that's what they are. And
Transfer tube.
Transfer tubes.
Perfect.
For detanking there, Joe. So looks like they're about the same size as these. We haven't got the front. They haven't put the front of the formwork on here yet. We can see rebar there for the stormwater wall, for the storm wall. So that's going to continue through. They should have that all the way along the whole facility soon enough. With that, we might even move on to the back of the factory. Thing to note here: one of the flaps has been removed. Aft flaps has been removed, so it's getting tiled in the factory there. We may not see any more of these flaps out here. There's a good chance they'll arrive directly inside the factory as they're getting more and more of the factory areas online. I guess it's an advantage not to have stuff sitting out in the open. And still, that tent's still there. We're hoping to see that tent get removed one of these days soon.
Yeah, that tent has seen better days.
Yeah, it's interesting. I noticed on the, I probably should have known earlier, but the Roberts Road factory has its tile oven inside built in, so I would imagine soon enough they could free some area up inside here and move that inside as well. There's a whole lot of area in here we haven't seen from the last walkthrough. It hadn't been commissioned yet, but I imagine it's getting close to being operational, all that area. I guess we'll see acceleration of ship manufacturing once that whole area is up and running. Okay, moving on to this little area. We see some rock lining these areas here in the settling pond, so I guess that settling pond is going to stay for good. So just on a sort of an engineering level, it looks like there's a pipe that comes up here and overflow, so that the pipe goes down, so this pond would fill up with water and allow sediment to settle and then overflow down that pipe to run out into the wasteland.
Natural filter. Yep.
Yeah, as a settling pond. Still a little bit of work going on in this area. Still a little bit of a mystery what's going on there. Any thoughts on that area, Alex?
It looks like plumbing, obviously, but the water system, it almost looks like fire sprinkler valves.
There was some talk maybe they could, because this is a well as far as I know, there was some talk maybe you put wastewater down that well to safely get rid of it.
Disposal wells are usually very deep. They're using one of the old natural gas wells where they were as a disposal, and I don't think we've seen them drill, because usually they go down several thousand feet.
Whoa, that's a long way down.
And, well, you have to drill it below any aquifers and beneath some penetrable rock formations, so...
Yep, that all makes sense. This little area in here, we've been noticing they've been digging up. They seem to have finally backfilled with concrete. It doesn't look like it's on the same level. So there's some more of that actual plumbing, actually, Alex. So maybe that's that green pipe over there. So this may have something to do with that.
Yeah.
Not sure what exactly. So we thought this may be another fire sort of pump area, but then they put all this cooling equipment there, so that's sort of threw that out the window, I think. Anywho, let's go on to the ring yard. Quickly in the ring yard here, some flattened items we saw last week have been moved and removed, and a single has been removed. Excuse me. We see from time to time, we see those stretch bomb carriers and those stretch bomb pieces here in this area. I think this is a better photo of it. So that's sort of nothing new. It looks like you can see there that either they're making these here or they're delivered here like this. You can see the actual cutout of the section for the new E-domes, as far as I remember. Oh, there's one flattened item still there. And with that, we'll go on to the actual new office building. So we'll just start at the front here, just get this other little photo out of the way. So here's another photo from Alaska Space. So since the flyover, they've added some more glass to the front of the building, and they've added some more of these. They're using this template here to add these little mounting brackets for the glass. You can see them in through here, how they're mounting the glass with these little mounting brackets. They basically slip onto them, which is a nice sort of mounting system. And Alaska noticed another one of those templates for these angled walls here they were using a number of days ago that they haven't used for a couple of days. So that should be well and truly, that should be finished soon.
And up in that top area there on the top part of the angle, we'll see some steel corrugated cladding like we see in the top corner there. With the black panel on top. Yeah, up in there. So,
yeah, so
it gives us a better feel for how that's going to look now. I think a lot of us were questioning why there was an angled beam there.
Yeah, don't look at this. Don't look at that angle. Don't look at it. Don't look at that angle. So these are for the Z girts. You can see up in here these horizontals here and little brackets. So that will continue on through here. And then they'll add this, presumably they'll add this corrugated type steel. And then you can see the final product should be like that.
And it looks like they're doing the same thing on the ground level if you pan down.
Yep, we can see those brackets here again. And of course they're going to a different system across here, but that's fine. It looks like they're going to... It looks like they're going to have solid panels all the way through to here. Sort of a random sort of a spot to finish, but anyway, that's the way it is. So once again, thank you very much, Alaska, for that image. Shows some nice detail that we can't really see from the aerials here. So yeah, the white is just going to come along and just finish here randomly. So not sure why they particularly picked that spot. Doesn't even line up with the building or anything.
And it looks like they're removing the temporary walls they had protecting the...
In this photo?
Yeah, right a little bit to your left there. You can see the stud walls that half cover. No, to the left. Yeah, right. It looks like they start stripping that one.
Well, that's your left.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
And then is this the actual behind? Is that what we're seeing?
Possibly.
Oh, they've
Don't
got...
know.
Is that paneling? Oh, that's only temporary, isn't it? That's all temporary.
No, that's a glass panel.
Oh, it's glass, yep.
Yeah, they like their glass railings.
Yeah, I did a lot of glass railings with concrete swimming pools. So let's move around to the other side and get a bit of a feel for this funky roof angles.
The derp dip.
The derp dip. So yeah, they've gone from the nice little twist along here, and now they're continuing this little twist over to this side.
Yeah, so quite a bit of improvement here on the roofing. They've completed. If you can see on that picture, the top. If you go up just a little bit, you can see the top corner is now insulated and has its membrane on top, and we're starting to see that in the new section that was just built out this week as well. We're getting more and more connection between the office and the factory here. So that area is all new this week.
Yep, coming ahead nicely.
You can see the bridge crane rail in that new section.
Yep, and that's going to end right there. In this next section, the bridge crane goes further through. So the bridge cranes are there, and then these two last sections looks like the bridge crane's going through, or this section at least anyway, going through to probably that beam.
No, the next one.
The next beam, yeah.
Yeah, they're maximizing those bays.
It almost looks transparent there, doesn't it? I mean, it's just a reflection, but it almost looks transparent. That's a weird optical illusion. We probably see down through there, and there's that illusion again.
It's nice and shiny.
This angle. Sorry.
They're pouring the concrete on the front section.
Yeah, I'll come back to that in a sec. So we noticed through the last weeks they've been taking the opening up here for the bridge crane to go through. So this bridge crane rail's actually there now. I didn't notice this. They're starting to take stuff off or put something up. Take stuff off.
Yeah, I think the next section, they're just going to continue their existing roof elevation.
Yeah, we can see. So
I was just saying that was my thought as well. Is we'll see that continue throughout the new section here that hasn't been built yet.
Yeah, we can see lead-ins here for Z-girts or whatever to come across here to create a wall up to that height, which is interesting because if we go back to this end view here, we speculated earlier that this higher bit of roof, that lines up to this corner here. I wonder if that was by design, Alex, that actually was that angle there, is particularly that to actually line up with that corner.
It was. This is technically a extension of the factory, at least as far as the county's concerned.
So the thing is, though, with these lead-ins here and this wall being higher and this roof being higher here, this angle here is going to have to do something crazy here, like perhaps come straight again. Or I'm not sure what's going to happen between that.
It'll run into that corner. Just that corner is going to be a common corner that wall's going to run into. So it needs a lead. It needs the girt mounts.
Ah, so I had the girt mounts coming this way. You're saying those girt mounts are put that way?
Yes.
Of course, that makes more sense. Thank you. That had me scratching my head for days.
This whole section has me scratching my head, but
good. So it's not just me.
Nope.
Okay, I'll go back around the front there. You spotted something around the front. Oh, that's not the best photo. Hang on. Maybe that one. Nope.
That picture has a good point, though, that we're not quite sure exactly what those openings are. Right on that wall there, yeah.
Loading dock semis to back into.
With this picture, now I can see the floor elevation change, and now it makes a little bit more sense. But they are awfully close on that right side there. There's not much spacing between those two openings.
It's almost like this will be the new inventory area.
That's interesting. Yeah, and there's this doorway here they could also run trucks in to, or at least that's big enough to run barrel sections through. Maybe they could slip the odd barrel section in through here, perhaps. It's looking for that photo from around the front here. This one will do. So you're staying concrete around the front. Where would you say in concrete, Alex?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, okay.
My
Never
brain
mind.
might be. My brain might stop working.
Yeah, don't worry, that happens. Okay, hang on one sec. Let's go to this image. Oh, no, not that one, sorry. Just bear with me. This one's the one I wanted.
Oh, it's inside the factory. It's a low angle. You can see the vapor barrier. From the other angle, it's.
One second.
But it's facing the old factory. It's not that exciting. It's just they put the vapor barrier down, so that they're going to start pouring that slab.
Cool.
You can see it on this one. If you look in the corner where it's meeting up by highway, yeah, right down there. They might have started pouring that floor or the ground level.
Yeah, I see that.
Oh, down here, yep.
Yeah, where it's a vapor barrier. I can't tell from this angle.
Very good. Okay. Now, just moving on to this glass triangle. It's saying to put a cover over. For now, I guess to stop the rain coming down that hole. And they're continuing with the...
table, huh?
So?
It's a good work table. They've got everything laid on top of it, cutting those insulation pieces.
Yep. Just don't stand up there, I wouldn't think would be very good for your health. Oh, look at this.
The membrane
they're using this to hold this down, aren't they?
Yeah, those are large cable spools. And the Nestor.
Yeah. So still no real idea what's going on in here.
I really don't like that ventilation gap between the outer wall and that little the mail slot right there.
Well, you'll be right. Build a bridge. Seeing through there. No, okay. So that's pretty well it for the office building, I think. We'll quickly go over. Sorry about the notification going on down there. We'll quickly go over to the swimming pool area. Not much change over here. I was thinking there was a lot of plumbing sitting up here. I was thinking maybe that was where the plant room was going to go, but it appears the plant room's going to go over here after all. I didn't think that was a good spot for the plant room, to be honest, right in the middle of everything, so the plant room's off to the side. We can see trench work around the back there's been filled in, and still this side's open. This trench work's nothing to do with building, it's just for the plumbing for the pool, and that to go over here. So there'll be the skimmer boxes and the return lines from the pumps, and maybe a couple of suction lines and perhaps some lighting. And I'm thinking there'll be a main drain down in the middle. I'm not sure how Americans build pools, but there should be a main drain down the bottom. In Australia, we'd have the main drain, we'd have a venturi up on the skimmer box, so there wasn't any direct suction at the bottom of the pool because the suction line at the bottom of the pool turned out to be a bit dangerous. So
that's an understatement.
Yeah. And a spa, we think that's like a jacuzzi or a spa bath type thing, and perhaps a kiddie's wading pool. I think we can get a shot, over here somewhere, I think we can get a shot of the new sushi bar. That's another wonderful panoramic for your Patreon members if you get that photo for your phone screen. Nice vertical, what do you call it, portrait mode. So they're putting some concrete block walls up, so there may be bits of glass, and I guess that's the kitchen area down the back perhaps, and then the actual restaurant up the front. Seems to make sense. Oh, there was one thing.
Yeah, there's a bit of work happening right around Meme Street there. Some new utility work that they have dug up, and it looks like the road's closed now, whereas you could get through there in the last week or two. Right, right above your cursor
Yeah,
there. Yeah, right
I'll
there.
start with this one first. And we can see they're tying in the drainage from this street into the main plumbing from the St. Martin Boulevard there. And now go back to this other image over here, and we can see, what you're saying there, Toby.
Yeah, that's
go.
I believe it's all utility work, and this is one of those roads that is one of the original roads. So it has a lot of the old utility setup. You can see that they've done some work already down the left side of that street, and it looks like they're just continuing.
Yep, I think on this, which photo was it? No, hang on. This photo, sorry. This new street here, we saw a lot of that St. Jude's. We saw a lot of that drainage work already done. I think we can even see one of the drainage holes somewhere along here. So this street's more than likely perhaps there has got this drainage built into it already. So I'm assuming that they're continuing that drainage work along Meme Street here.
Agreed.
Okay, let's switch over to Joe for some questions, please.
All right, I want to thank Rocket Prophet for gifting 10 memberships and Methane Man gifting another 5. Thank you both for that amazing support. I'm really light on questions today, but Sputnik Gazer was raising a question and conversation in chat. The Starbase sign at the container wall at Sanchez was thinking that he saw that removed. Do we know where that went, or is it still there? Do we know where it's gone?
I haven't seen anything on that, and I don't think we could pick it up in any of the aerial pictures. So, not sure if anybody on the ground has got an update on that.
Where's Alaska when we need them?
Yeah, right. But yeah, really light on questions today. I guess everybody's just kind of from the time change.
I'll just try and get a message out to Alaska there and see if he can shoot me an answer there. I'm not sure if he's actually around or not. I can't see him in Patreon, so I'm not sure if he's around or not. I don't know that it has moved.
Okay. Capsa says it's still there as of live cams this morning. So we do know the Gateway to Mars sign is still at the airport, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Gateway to Mars sign move from the Brownsville Airport storage lot.
Okie dokie. Well, with that, we can go on over to the launch site. We seem our time's going nicely, so let's go over there. There it is. One launch site. So we'll start with the most important bit, the flame trench. Okay, so a big debate I've noticed through the weekend in Chantel was how high the top of concrete of the flame trench could be. With the, I see some renders running around where the bottom of the flame trench is at ground level and everything else is raised right up. And I've seen like our render from Kiwi where that's actually more like masses. It's all buried underground, and they're going to dig. Which I tend more to agree that it's going to be the flame trench is going to be down in the ground and have ramps, much like pretty well exactly like masses, but running out both sides. And even the work platform we see at masses could be put in here, even split in half and slid to either side. As we see at masses, they can put the platform over the top of the trench. They could do it maybe in two halves on this larger trench, or it could slide out from the back, but I think there's going to be too much in the way for it to slide out the back. So perhaps we'll see a platform much like masses. Now that's if they use the SPMT to roll the OLM in here. So there's sort of two trains of thought still about whether it's going to be removable or not. And I can't see enough evidence either way to say whether it will or not. I can hear
The
Alex want to say something here.
the ground level should be about 5 to 6 feet higher than the concrete on the pile cap of the tower. Because if you rotate around, the culverts they added and they backfilled under at about that high. Yeah, this angle will show it if you zoom in.
That's correct. Yep. The
That'll
pile
be yeah.
going.
That'll be about the finished grade. The top of the sheet piles will be pretty close to the finished grade of the edge of the flame trench.
So there was talk of perhaps a bit of a ramp in here. Perhaps it'll be a little bit higher and the little bit of a ramp needed here.
Ramp not needed. The trench, they put in around 60-foot dewatering wells, and since they're tie backing these sheet piles, the bottom of the trench will probably be around 50 feet below finished grade.
Yeah, I agree with the bottom here, and that still allows. So it's still really not enough to tell. So we always get this question whether it's going to be a removable OLM or not. I still don't think there's enough evidence to say either way yet.
Regardless if it is or if it's not, it'll probably have a work platform because I really like working on the aft section of the booster, and it will probably open two pieces to the left and right. And the trench would have the concrete spanning it anyway, so why not utilize that? Then the piles to the south, those rows of 6, so that's probably where they're going to have all the commodities reach over the trench and to the OLM. And that
Alex,
side with the opening. What's
at
that?
at current depth here, what do you think we're at? Are we roughly halfway? Is that about
maybe a quarter?
okay?
The current the commodities trench is probably right around 15 at most feet deep. They're not supported sheet piles. If they're not supported, you can usually go, depending on Earth's pressure, 15, maybe 18 feet without worrying about them collapsing. And none of the areas that's been excavated has been anchored. So, and since the soil is very moist, it's a lot of lateral Earth's pressure. So they haven't gone down very deep yet.
Makes sense.
They'll need to keep doing this tiebacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, a little detail. I think we saw this last week, didn't we? They've got it all hooked up to the pumps now, so they've got that well system Hang on, late breaking news here. Just got a bit of just to answer a question quickly. Sorry to jump around on you here, but thanks to ProKey for putting this image together, it appears the sign indeed has been moved.
Oh no.
So ProKey does our labeled images every week for the update video, and we thank you very much for those. Big shout out to ProKey for doing those. And yeah, it appears it's definitely gone. And so also, hang on, it's under a small roof.
You can't really see the wall.
I think, isn't that the wall?
No, that's a shadow, and that's the hash marks on the asphalt, on the pavement.
Oh,
the
gotcha.
walkway.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, because if you look right inside at the containers, you can't see down there the face of them.
Okay, I think we've got another image here. Hang on.
Oh, good.
So thanks to NSF here, on their live cameras. There it is. There. Okay. So I'll retract that. I think. Yeah, ProKey.
An overhang there, so that's what we're seeing in that overhead picture. They have solar up there, I believe.
Okay, ProKey. Thanks anyway. That's a good effort. Sorry that didn't quite work out, but yeah, thank you anyway, ProKey, for doing what you do anyway. Sorry to go back a little bit further again. I'm going to jump around really badly here on yours. Thanks to Nick, Chameleon. Say his name again, please. Say their name again.
Circuit.
Chameleon Circuit. Sorry, Nick. They've done an amazing job here to show the version 1 compared to version 2 ship's tiles. They do amazing work here to give us these images and to make it like an image is always worth 1,000 words. So we thank them very, very much for that. I apologise there, Nick. Okay, back to launch site. Sorry about that little deviation. Let's get back to where we were supposed to be.
All good.
Anyhow, we have tied that little question over. So we've got these pumps here that are doing the dewatering. So that's that system, which is a bit counterintuitive, where they pump water down a hole to get water back out of a hole using the Venturi effect.
Correct.
There's one on each side there. I can't believe I messed that up there, Nick. Sorry. Okay. Let's move around the other side. No, that's not the other side, is it?
It is.
The other side. A bit too far the other side. So the big crane is obviously definitely getting disassembled. The cabin's been packed away. Or is that it there? No. Is that it there?
That's a cabin.
Yeah, so it's been just... Oh, look at that. The whole chassis has been taken up, everything. So remember when it got here, even this thing's so huge, even the tracks came in 2 parts. There's bits and pieces of it laying around everywhere here. There's some more... that's one of the trash pumps lines, I think, isn't it?
No, I think that's for the drill.
Okay.
It's a slurry, the grout.
Oh, it is too. It's running all the way over. Yep, it is too. Very good.
Yeah, and the propellant trench, you can sort of see the embeds. I think those are the piles for the extension of it, and the actual concrete. They have the embeds for pipe racks and stuff.
Hang on. Yeah, sorry. While we're in this area, I forgot all about mentioning that. Yeah, they poured this concrete, of course.
On both walls they have some embeds or weld plates.
Yep. And that shows up in some of these photos. Let's try this one. Along there, is that what that black line we're seeing?
That black line is a lip. They put angle iron on it for the cover, but it's not that exciting. But
It's all definitely starting to come together, though.
definitely.
Okay, moving on to the electrical connection, which is a bit strange here. So this is a little photo that was put together by one of our Patreon members. I can't remember the name now. So this is a good. So just for reference, this is that area near the Starbase sign. That's the Starbase overhead sign there. This is that corner right near Highway 4 here. And this is the conduit that I've been waffling on about that they put in the ground ages ago and just left sitting in the ground here, terminated. So, which we expected. I'll just go back to this other photo here. Hang on, not the photo. This one will do. I kind of expected, but in hindsight, it was a silly idea that the conduits would continue on to the bolts over here. But obviously, they need the main supply switched into all the different circuits and so on. So it appears that the conduits are going in a very roundabout way around via this building here. So I'm imagining this bunker will be used for the new electrical work for the new tower, for the new whole launch pad area. So that would have been used for the old suborbital tank farm and that whole area, which now is not being obviously used. So all that old stuff would have been stripped out and leaving room for all the new electrical equipment, which I thought that was going in a new building over on the wall here as per that.
It still could.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't think that's big enough to house everything they need. So it would make sense to build it along the wall there.
Okay, well, I will keep that in mind for sure.
And then the paths the conduits are going is probably to avoid them being under the tanks in case future maintenance.
Okay, yeah, for future stuff, future equipment being put in this area.
Yeah, just so that they're out of the way.
Yep, I mean they may still run some unswitched stuff here. They may still run a line through here. I was thinking for the drawworks, it may end up as an electrician. I'd imagine perhaps that the drawworks may need its power supply come in high voltage to avoid voltage drops. I may come over here in something like 1100 volts or something and have a transformer over here.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't have a distribution transformers by the tower, because those are turning into very long runs.
Well, for anything that's not high current, it's not really too long. But anything that is high current, it is getting a bit long by the time they go all the way around that whole path.
Could they put those transformers in that bunker? That bunker that we've always kind of said we're not quite sure what's going to go there.
They could.
And it might make sense to have them in a bunker and have them protected at that area. So
you mean not cover them with various metal tables over the years?
Well, to be honest, I think a lot of these sub-circuits won't need to be high voltage, so they're coming in here in high voltage from the mains, whichever high voltage that is. So we may see, like once this building's put up here, so we may actually see transformers in this area rather than out there. I don't see the need to have transformers halfway across, that's all. It'll all be kicked down for the switchgear in here. And for all the sub-circuits in here, will be kicked down to your whatever industrial voltage is over there. I don't think it's just 110. I think you have 240 volts as well.
And 480, I believe, for
For your
3.
three-phase, yeah. Sorry, Todd. Toby.
I think it's 440.
Yeah, we have 415 for three-phase, and each leg of that
It might
three-phase
be.
to neutral creates 240 volts.
I think it's 415 for a delta. Y is lower.
Yeah, phase to phase in Australia, three-phase is 415 volts, then phase to neutral is 240 volts. In Australia, and that's right across the board. We don't have any 240 volt. We used to have two-phase with a center tap transformer and 480 volts, but we don't use that at all pretty well these days. But anyhow, whatever the voltage is, whatever, I'm pretty sure most of it will be kicked down out here. I mean, it could be wrong. I'm just speculating.
The drawworks, they take the 400-ish volts.
Yeah, well, that's sort of 400 odd volts coming over three-phase is very common to run that in distance. But what I thought with the drawworks, because it's quite high current, they may run it over here in 1100 volts in three-phase and put a three-phase local transformer actually in the tower. But maybe not.
Yeah, I mean,
go on.
Everything in the towers, though, is like the hydraulic pumps, the elevator isn't that high current, but the drawworks and the hydraulics would be.
Absolutely, yeah. So that whole area, I don't think there's much else going on there. The bigger winches for the cranes seem to have already been transported away. We can't find the bigger ones. They go on a truck each. They're quite big. There's the smaller winches here, and I think might be one of the winches up in the actual boom is there. Everything else is getting disassembled. So there's been a lot of chat about this crane disappearing and how they're going to put the SQD and the carriage and the OLM, how that's all going to get put in place. So Crane Man and Nate have been answering my questions there in show and tell that the LR11,000 is quite capable of lifting the SQD arm up, or they may just bring in another LR1100. There's plenty of them around to put the QD arm up, and the carriage as well. That should be quite within the capabilities of LR11,000. That's a tongue twister once you say it a few times. And the OLM. Oh, go on.
Oh, because they hang a weight tray off the back and add a derrick, and because it could lift 1,000 metric tons, so it should be more than capable.
Agreed.
The only thing was people were a bit questionable was how much reach they're going to need, but like I say, with the derrick and the proper configuration, the people in our cranes are showing me that an 11,000 will be quite capable of that job. So, which kind of goes against what they originally were saying, proposing that this the 8800 was going to stay here to do those jobs, but that seems to have changed. They seem to have changed the contract there or whatever. But that happens. That's nothing major. The OLM. Well, we're pretty sure it's. I mean, there's a lot of chat. Is it mobile and all this sort of talk? Well, it's obviously mobile to some degree because it's being built at Sanchez. It's got to get here somehow, so it's going to be mobile enough to get here, and more than likely get rolled across a platform and put in place with SPMTs. If not, perhaps a couple of LR11,000s will be able to lift it into place like they did over on Pad A. Admittedly, they didn't have to use a dual lift over on Pad A, but they just did that to save some time.
Yeah, having two for refurbishment makes total sense. I really think that it's going to be mobile at some degree. Agreed that it might be just crane lifted and not, on wheels or SPMTs, but They're going to need to do refurbishment each launch on that OLM, so would expect more than one.
So, go on.
The span across the trench is around 50 feet and by 50, so equivalent of 5-lane bridge. So even if it's, 600 tons, that's definitely movable on across with SPNTs across that opening without much crazy engineering.
Yes, so Todd, you brought up a little one side of it, another little debate going on about the need for it to be refurbished. And there's one camp like saying where it'll maybe not every launch, but there will be some kind of refurbishment needed from time to time. And the other camp is saying that if it's engineered correctly, and it looks like this one's being engineered differently at least, that maybe they won't have to refurbish it as much, and perhaps it can stay in place. So I'm not saying either side is right or wrong. I haven't seen any kind of evidence either way particularly. I haven't seen any evidence particularly either way as to whether they're going to need a ramp or not, but what Alex just said made a bit more sense, that they maybe not need a ramp, but even with or without a ramp here, it still doesn't say it will or will not be a removable OLM. A question comes up about the ramp is how would they stage boosters and ships here? Well, a ramp could be, it wouldn't have to be very high, and as we saw at Massey's, you can elevate a certain degree with a ramp without having to encroach on the highway. And they could end up with a flat area up here where they can leave the booster on a flat surface to stage for lifting, or even if it was a ramp all the way up. Still the SPMTs can hold a ship or a booster level anyway. So there's still not quite enough evidence to work out exactly what's going on, although I'm leaning towards what Alex was saying there now. You've said that to me, thank you.
And for maintenance, if they really want to be launching with a very high cadence, it being down for 4 to 6 months for a refurbishment would really impact their capacity to orbit.
So I was just looking at our chat over here in Patreon Lounge.
Oh, don't do that.
Proki has some really funny emojis sometimes. He just has one laying on his back with his hand over his face going, whatever about the Starbase sign, but that's all good. That's fine.
It's melting.
He's melting.
We're going to know this, the answer to this very soon, probably in the next month or two as we see this develop. So,
absolutely, yeah. That's it's coming. This whole development's going ahead very quickly. So yeah, it's going to be very nice to see very soon. 1 minute I think I'm running behind. I'm way ahead of time. Next minute I'm getting behind time. So just quickly over here with, I think, Alex, what were you saying here about concrete and piles here?
Yeah, there's piles all around that. There's 2 to the right on either top and bottom, and probably 2 more on the other side. I'm leaning that they're building perhaps another bunker here.
And that's perhaps a so this could even be a pile cap, you're saying, with concrete?
Not a pile cap, just the blinding pad wrap slab.
Okay, because this we've seen like that bunker over there was actually piles underneath it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an interesting. That seems to be in line. Where's an image that shows that?
Or that might be their the start of the commodities tunnels are going to have to put underneath the roadway.
Correct, yeah. So that was in line, almost in line with that. Oh, that's not the image. Sorry.
but you can see that last image there. You can see the clear pathway. They're definitely in line and would make sense for a commodities bunker. I agree with that.
And they have all the formwork staged.
Okay, yeah. So in the past few weeks, we've noticed a little bit of concrete missing in this little area here, in line with that, and it was looking like that may be a pathway for some commodities. So it's looking like that. We've got the heap of formwork down here. Yep.
Yep.
How did I miss that in the show and tell? It's the most obvious thing some days. Anyway, moving along.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
That's what happened. We're missing Alex.
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously.
A bit more dirt happening. Of course, there's always dirt happening here. A bit of the conduits we saw last week here. So that's electrical. So I'm not sure whether that electrical is going to come in from that building over this direction, which is more than likely what's going to happen, or it's going to come to these bolts here. I'm pretty sure it'll have to go into that electrical building to do the switching and so on once again.
There's a lot of existing conduits right where your hand is.
Yep.
And it looks like there's orange paint on the ground where they're probably going to start breaking up more concrete.
Okay, is that even a vault down in here, perhaps?
Yep.
Okay,
one of them.
Yep, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. And here's a vault here ready to go. So one bolt that end, and one bolt that end. So that shows us not three-phase mains, it's just a sub-circuit.
And control circuits for the farm.
Yeah, control circuits, and switch circuits, yep. Control circuits and sub-circuits, yeah, for sure. So they're breaking up more concrete in this area to do more development in here. I know, right? So you were saying, I think in show and tell, it's nice to see all this tying together now.
Yeah, I see the patterns. I can see where things are running. They need to get both electrical and commodities over from the tank farm area. So I think that's what we're seeing is just a continuation of all that work, and should see it probably tied up within the next month or two, would be my guess.
And it's happening quite quickly. So, I mean, doesn't seem to have been much work done on the tower, but I imagine there's a whole heap of fitting out still going on up in the tower. Or perhaps not, but definitely a lot of groundwork going on. Just before I move on, just quickly, the water deluge tank farm. We haven't seen much of that yet. We seem to seeing a lot of the commodities for now and electrical, but not much of the water deluge system yet. Just to answer that question earlier, including tanks and, I mean, there's that vaporizer we saw at Massey's get removed, and there's another one of those type vaporizers at the airport storage lot, so maybe that's something to do with that system that you're asking about and whether there's bits and pieces of it around. So far, that's about all I've seen. I'm leaning towards this new water deluged farm being more like Massey's setup rather than this setup where they create the nitrogen on the go through those vaporizers rather than storing it in tanks like this. We'll have to see that soon. We'll see that, soon enough. We'll see which system of water deluge they actually do end up using.
Creating the gases needed is safer, and you don't have as many high pressure pipes and welds that you have to inspect.
Very good point.
They're probably sending 3,000 psi to that distribution manifold, so 300 bar versus probably 250 is coming out of.
Yeah, I found this system very elegant. This new pressurizing system is very tidy, very elegant design, and obviously highly functioning. And with the control valves on the end, well, they're not controlling flow. They're only opening when they need the flow to start. So between those opening and then straight away afterwards, the pressure being applied here, that seems to be fairly functionable.
They control the flow with the gas valves underneath.
Yeah, down in here, yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that for the new launch site. But once again, it's only speculation. I could be wrong. Now we saw some pipes arrive here. Over here. Now, yeah, I thought this might have been to do with some of the methane. They need to do some work with the methane system for the new pad. But as Alex expertly described to me, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus this double. Remember, I said back at Sanchez, keep an eye out for that double port. So there's that double port pipe, and then of course on top there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4 main pipes there. So that's something to do with that. What are we calling it? A vaporizer / recondenser / who knows what it is?
Let's just say a heat exchanger.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, because that's what it actually is, for sure. So we'll move on to the tank farm. Well, now we're actually behind time. So over here, there's not a lot to cover now. Over here, Alex, in here, they did some work.
They moved the nitrogen supply from there, and because it used to branch over the trench right to that, and they're extending it.
That's what this. This is the pipes they're lifting in this pipe along here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's freeing up this trench.
Correct.
For methane.
More than likely.
So it'll be methane underground over to here. In amongst all in here, they'll tap in those two tanks into this main line somewhere, perhaps.
They could tap it to multiple places. They could change the valve assembly where they could run liquid nitrogen into it as well.
Yep, which is this system here, I believe.
Yeah, that valve assembly there has gone through like 3 or 4 iterations so far.
So that allows liquid nitrogen here to run on this pipe and jump into here, is that correct?
Correct.
Yep. I'm remembering most of the stuff you told me about the tank farm. So obviously there has to be some way for the methane then to continue on, perhaps through this line here, maybe continues on. There's an expansion for it. At the end here, perhaps then continue on through these racks. Obviously, they need methane to come all the way through here to the new tank farm.
Or they could send it straight back and pick up the blast wall and run it across it.
Around the back here?
Yeah. Sort of like where they have the fill line. They could.
Okay, yep. So is there an advantage? Is there a disadvantage to running it with these racks?
I haven't looked at them lately to see how much room's on them. From here, they're looking a little busy, and they seem to be adding a lot of the conditioning on the front along here, so I don't know how much. Because they have room for another vertical tank on those piles.
Yeah, we missed this last week. Yeah.
And then the lines feeding that, they tee and start heading towards the back, but they're capped if you follow the rack. And then to the right, yeah, you can see there's caps where it changes direction for some of the stuff. So
okay. So there's a fair bit more to go on here. Actually, just while we're here, we can see the base of that vaporizer is square, but the top's not square. So that vaporizer is getting a slight twist to it, which is crazy.
yeah, they don't like their infrastructure.
So I imagine so at the moment there's no nitrogen supply to the LOX pump area. Is that correct right now?
Correct. Yeah, nothing's going to the hippos. So luckily, that's a a day or two worth left to work. Oh god, I just noticed something that's gonna drive me batty.
Crooked pipe.
Yeah, the gas line is crooked.
So the electrical too through here, we haven't actually seen how they're rerunning, how they've cut these here. We haven't actually noticed how they're rerunning that electrical yet, have we?
No. That I'm sure by now they've routed it underground if possible.
So that sort of came from here through these or whatever, then up the top of the building, then down the side of the building, across here, up here, and around like that. So now we think maybe they've actually come just underground here somewhere through some of the conduits, because there's a mass of conduits under here,
Correct.
which makes you wonder why I didn't do it in the first place. But anyway, the answer to that question is always SpaceX. Okay, do we cover all those areas? So over here at the launch site, we've noticed through some of the ground shots, there's a new little box up under here and some new valves. I'm not sure we got permission to show them on the live stream.
The FTS box.
Yeah, there was a joke in chat that it might be an FTS box.
We're not blowing up the OLM. Come on.
Yet.
Yet.
And
so let's just show it anyway from Starship Gazer. He did give him permission to run this in the show and tell. And well, big shout out to Starship Gazer. He's a very portable Patreon member, Patreon channel to become a member of. Very much well and truly worth it. I'm a member there myself. And the images we get from Starship Gazer are just insane and quite regular and very much up to date. And the amount of detail he puts into his images are just incredible. I'm pretty sure this one's been shared on X as well. And it shows the box we're talking about here. So once again, thank you very much there, Ryan, isn't it, from Starship Gazer?
Yes.
And yeah, this box looks like it's not very old because it's still a chain on it. And man, look how heavy duty that door is. She's there to stay. I guess they've learnt their lesson from doors becoming projectiles. And there's a new valve assembly here. So we can see the old LOX vent for the OLM. That's where we see the... That's right, that's where you see the water pole, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So that looks like it ties into a similar area and perhaps just a newer, more improved, perhaps faster sort of a system to make this the chill down a bit quicker. And perhaps one for the methane side, perhaps for a nitrogen flow. Still not 100% sure about that. We'll need someone who's a bit more...
Also the oxygen, because for safety reasons, having dual valves is optimum. They on the new LOX distribution that they put by the hippos, everything is double valved.
Yep, for at least for some redundancy, at least for if not safety, just for redundancy, so they don't have to stop a launch just because that one valve gets stuck.
Yeah, single path failures are no fun.
Sounds like a stage 0 type question for stage 0. So Excel, so it is. So next week you're going to have Zach back on the show, which is awesome. I love hearing Zach's take on this all. And once again, I'm amazed that I'm really thankful and that I get to fill in when Zach's not here. And now, so this the whole launch site. I'm just trying to wrap up here. I think we've covered the whole site now. Toby, if you think we've missed something?
Yeah, the only thing that I noticed was a little bit of some differences on the quick disconnect arm. It looked like some of the hoses were rewrapped with insulation this week. That was about all I saw.
This little bit here, I think, was different from last week. Cool, thank you. And Alex, is happy with what we covered?
I think we got pretty much everything.
All right, well, let's hear from Joe for the last time. And so I haven't even looked at the chat. I hope chat's going well. There's 1,000 odd W's in there. Good on you. Appreciate you all showing up today and their donations and so on. So, Joe, let's have some questions or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Chat's been going real well today. We appreciate everybody having a good time in the YouTube chat there. I want to thank Nibbles for becoming a member, as well as a $5 super chat from New Zealand with a statement or a question: will they leave the sheep piles in the ground, or do they remove them? Cheers, guys. This Kiwi loves all that you do.
Depending what they're used for, they're not going to be used for structural reasons more than likely, but since they're tying them back, they'll probably just cut them a couple feet below ground and let them rust away. But you can also pull them out with a vibrator or hammer as well.
They do help with water retention, though. I can see value in keeping them there.
They probably won't be used for any of the calculations for the Earth's pressure. But yeah, it'll help keep it dry.
All right. I have removed a lot of questions that you all have already addressed, so in the best interest of time and not being redundant, so I'm sorry if I did not physically read out your question aloud, but they were already covered. So Marcus G is asking, where does the wastewater from the deluge go, and is it recycled?
It currently will go into a retention pond and it gets pumped out.
Yeah, currently the concrete's all been set up. A little bit goes over in the wetlands, obviously, but most of it, wherever it falls on the concrete in this area here, has been, with this little wall and everything, has been routed down into this pond here. That's then, yeah, like Alex just said, gets pumped out. And the locks, when they do the engine chill, locks that gets left, comes out into this pond. And with the maps that the vague maps they gave us, there'll be another one of those water retention ponds in this corner here.
All
And
right.
the nice thing with the trench is it probably won't spray any onto the wetlands.
Yeah, it's going to be
The
really
last
cool.
static fire, you could really see how much of it actually turns to steam. You could see it in the slow-mo videos, so there really isn't too much left when it's all said and done.
True.
It's going to be really cool to see that one come online. Liam Donald asking, when do we think they'll have the air separation unit system complete?
It's probably not for a year and a half.
Yeah, they haven't really even started it yet, have they?
No, it's a future Part B development.
Agreed.
They'll need it.
Oh, they'll need it for sure, but yeah, it'll be this tower and this whole launch site will be operational before the air separation unit maybe even begins even.
All right, awesome. Samuel Miller asking, have we seen them starting to dig any trenches or running any pipes towards the new tower from the tank farm?
Potentially, where that right there, and you can see the extension from the tower. They started digging out there, so
A little bit.
it'll be done in like 3 weeks once
Yeah.
this crane's gone.
Yeah, now all the sort of piles and all the foundation work, all the groundwork's sort of done. I can imagine now, and electrical stuff's been buried deep. I imagine now a lot of this is going to happen quite quickly.
Agreed.
We got a commenter in chat, Rex Johnson, saying he's got a friend whose company is going to install the air separation unit, probably within a year.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Got a question from DJ Druck. Will the new OLM be fixed but lower to the ground over the trench with sliding doors underneath like a silo to replace the dance platform like the first old OLM?
That's my speculation.
Much like here at Massey's, can imagine that happening quite easily at the launch site. Perhaps with it sliding even both ways, half a platform sliding even both ways. They seem to be quite comfortable with the system. Seems to work quite well here at Massey's. I can imagine them doing exactly the same thing at the launch site here with, sliding half each way here. Quite easy to set that up by the look of it.
Fully agree. Massey's was version 1. They're incrementing and expanding the size of it for Tower 2 here.
Crane Man with a statement saying they could slide the OLM in and out with a skidding system.
Yeah, that would work.
All right, Samuel Miller is asking, do you think they finish digging the trench before SQD and Chopstick installation, or do the Chopsticks and SQD first?
Depends how quick they can excavate it to continue doing the tieback drilling. That drill seems to be taking its sweet time.
They also seem to be doing a lot of work on the SQD still at Sanchez. I don't think it's quite ready yet. I have a feeling that the trenches will be first.
So a little quick rough drawing here from Alex. As you see the Commodities trench, we can see how they can do the same thing at Massey's with two beams across here with
That's a tower file cap.
Yeah, and then simply a couple of half platforms slide across here to close the gap, and then they can work on up underneath. That'll be quite close. Maybe they still need to use some of those scissor lifts to get up underneath, and of course they can roll in the OLM in and out. Thank you, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and tying that in with the question from Patrick, with the new OLM being so wide, is it possible to have an SPMT on both sides and drive the OLM over the concrete flame trench, covering it and put it in place, so no moving platform needed?
No, it's because of where the supports are on the outer corners. The SPMTs should be in between. Because it's only the square is only as wide as the and then in the four corners they have the pillars that are supporting it. If we look at Sanchez, it should be obvious.
Yeah, also like this. Is it going to show this picture?
That works.
Yeah, so like this. I mean, this is not really the same, but yeah, the SPMTs on the inside, I think is what the question was. And then just roll in and have the four pedestals much the same as this.
And moving it down Highway 4, even if they move it only once, the roadway is not wide enough to take a 80-foot wide load down it. Because the current one is around 61 feet wide that they're building. 20 meters for our metric folks.
And even with refurbishment, it probably won't come back here every time. It may just be refurbished at the launch site. I mean, I could bring it back here. It obviously will fit down the highway to get to the launch site. Otherwise, not going to use a helicopter, are they? So there was a lot of speculation whether it actually fit down the highway or not, but obviously it's going to have to fit down the highway one way or another.
I mean, it'll be elevated a bit above the ground when they move it, so even if it's overhanging, they lower the signs and stuff along that road already.
Yeah, when they were moving Tower 2 sections, they were hanging over, and they did just fine. I was quite amazed at watching them move Section 5 out there.
There's a thanks for the meters there in chat. Thanks, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe.
All right, and the final question I've got in my queue from Missing Tools is, what is the status of the land swap?
No information to be published for a while.
Okay, so with that last question,
I've got one more just came in, the ever obligatory question from Skeleton Man Dan. When do you think the first launch will be from the new tower?
next year.
March.
A bit vague, I know. Yeah, sometime next year, early next year, first half of next year, perhaps. It is going ahead quite quickly. We remember when they were building massive static by stand that looked like it was going to take 6 months, 12 months. Next thing you know, it took like a few months and it was up and running. So this is going very fast. There's a lot of contractors here. There's a lot of workers working on this. So it should happen fairly quickly, which will be exciting to see. We might leave those questions there. And I like my technical terms, thank you. My sort of technical terms, they're fine. We might leave that all the questions there. We might wrap up the show, and I'm going to start with thanking Toby, and well done for your first live stream. You did very well. Thank you today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And
You
Alex,
did a wonderful job.
And Alex, always a pleasure. Thank you for being with us.
No problem. And let me talk over you.
Oh, that's okay. You can talk over me sometimes. And I'll wrap up myself and let Joe sign off. So once again, thank you everybody for your support and for being with us here on the live streams and in chat there, and all the questions. Your questions are very important to the live stream, and I appreciate you all very much. And thank you, Joe. And I'll make sure Joe thank everybody. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Steph, Alex, and Toby. Great job. Appreciate your time and knowledge and sharing everything with the stream today. Thanks, my lovely wife, Astra Jen, for scheduling and coordinating the stream. Thanks, Emlyn, for turning the knobs and pushing the buttons. Thank you, Mauricio, for getting these awesome photos. And all of the rest of the RGV team that constantly works in the background, that doesn't get the credit they deserve. Thank you all. Most engines cut off. Hot staging confirmed. Love you. Bye.